To mask or not to mask? Why is this even a question? Welcome to Non-Polarity with Mama B. Mama B here. Thank you to all who stopped by. I appreciate you taking the time. And if you recall, last time I left off with identifying the cancers, take them out, reform them, learn from them. Okay, that in and of itself, isn't necessarily easy to do. But one thing that made it more clear where those people might be, or where that thinking might be, was this ridiculous debate of whether or not to wear a mask during this COVID-19 pandemic. This should never have been made a debate. This should never have been made a debate. And it identifies an area of need for our attention, both intellectually and philosophically. We need to talk this out. So for me, the masking thing was pretty easy. About 10 years ago, when I was pregnant with my first child, I was working in the medical field. I had to go in and out of hospitals and nursing facilities. And a lot of times they wouldn't even let me in if I didn't put a mask on, since I was pregnant. And sometimes they would have different illnesses that are communicable and spreadable in the facility. So I had to wear a mask before I could go in the building or go in a room. And so it was part of my work. I also had to wear a mask because I worked in a lab where I manipulated material, and sometimes fine particles could get in my lungs. So I'd wear a mask to protect myself from that as well. I also wore a mask when I had a cold so that I wouldn't sneeze on any of my patients or just, anything, any droplets or any air would get onto them that could get them sick. And I didn't want to be the cause of them being ill. I just wanted to recover and take care of them. I also started wearing a mask with my second pregnancy when I started having more issues with allergens, out in different seasonal allergies. Wearing the mask, I didn't have to take allergy medicine while pregnant, so I didn't have to worry about any concerns of any way that would have affected my baby. And it worked. I tried it out, and I even now do it. It's really bad for me right now, this time of year. When I wear the mask, I don't sneeze and go nuts. I don't get the puffiness under my eyes. It's just, there's still a chance you get some particles in the sides of your mask. I mean, that's always a potential thing that'll happen. But what it does is it significantly reduces the number of particles. And sometimes our bodies just need a reduction of exposure, and that's why I try to not take allergy medicine because I moved to a new area a few years ago, and I'm trying to build up my tolerance, acclimate, my body become familiar with the allergens in the area. So I don't want to rob my body of that opportunity to naturally acclimate, but I have to be able to function as well. So wearing the mask reduces that attack on my body by the allergens, and then I'm good, And this was all before COVID-19. So with COVID-19, mandate, wear a mask. Okay, no problem. Been doing this for years. I think, this is where I was complacent. Like, I didn't really consider other perspectives, other situations. I did not consider the fact that there is sort of an acclimation or becoming familiar to with wearing the mask. You can get some zits, there's moisture from your breath and condensation. So it's nice to have, if you're going to wear it for a long period of time, it's nice to have disposable. You can dispose them, or you have plenty of cloth ones that you can replace, and then you wash them after you get home. Things that you find out kind of on the fly when you're new to it, but things that I had already learned doing it years ago. So I really didn't see the issues. Plus, I was not on social media really, so I did not know the chaos that was ensuing. I had pretty decent people around me, and there was some debate about wearing masks, but everyone pretty much didn't want to be the cause of someone else getting sick. So we wore the mask, no big deal. What woke me up was hearing in the news about a Frenchman who was working on a bus, and he was trying to enforce the rules of his company. He told some passengers who were trying to get on, you can't come on, you have to have a mask. It's the rule. It's the rule that my employer has bestowed upon me to, impose upon you, unfortunately, but this is the rule. It's a public health concern, and so let's be considerate. Let's just, do the thing. They beat him. They beat that man, that bus driver, to where he was unconscious. I don't know if he survived or if he died. I'd actually have to look in on that, and I hadn't seen anything lately, but just to be asked to wear something on your face while we figure this thing out, that does not call for violence, physical violence. So that really revealed a lot about the deep nature of people out there. So it was revealing, it was interesting, it was disturbing. But, like I said in the past, with some videos past, the human heart is very deep. There's some dark places for all of us, So it was disturbing. It was a problem that people were committing crimes over this. And we are dealing with a golden opportunity to really investigate the depths of the human heart. Yay! Let's do that. Let's make the most of this now. So after that happened, I became more focused. I did a lot more observing, discussing, debating, trying to figure out what the heck happened. This is a public health issue. Why not, follow a simple precaution like that? And at first, I'm on that side, so that's where my perspective lies. But then there is that other side of the debate where it's the principle of the thing. Okay, well what do you mean by that? Then this is what I said. I put my hat on. I was like, all right, lay it on me. Where are you coming from? Because I'm not following you. I need to understand. A lot of what I got was more of a natural law thinking. And in truth, natural law, so natural consequence, the herd immunity, permitting exposure over time and letting the population as a whole gain natural immunity to the virus. That's sort of a natural law concept, allowing people to, there's also that natural law that allowing people to use their own free will. It's a free country. I should be able to make my own decisions. I can think for myself, true. But anyway, that's that side. I mean, I could debate it, so I'm trying to understand that side. So to understand it, I found myself thinking back to where can we go for a resource to understand this view, and so we can bring people back together. Well, one place I was seeing an issue was in politics. I saw a source of a problem. I saw both sides. This is where I was talking about in the last video about everybody voting for red. I saw the Republican side emphasizing, free will, free market, let's get out there, let's keep the economy going. True, yes. You know what would have made that a lot easier? If everybody wore masks. If you all wore masks, we wouldn't have had to shut things down, But hold on there. There's a point. We know more now than we did when they shut everything down. So there is some logic to a temporary shutdown in that we needed to understand this virus. We needed to understand this organism and how it worked. I mean, there's even a debate as to whether a virus is actually even a living thing. When it's outside the body, it's a virion. It's supposedly, it's not living. But then suddenly when it enters the body, it's alive. It's able to reproduce, but it needs your DNA to reproduce. So there's still debate in the science field as to whether a virus is even alive. So we have a thing that has its own debate in and of itself. And then we throw that in with everything going on in politics and society, and it just kept building. Just debate after debate after debate, polar. So here we are. So let's bring it all back, okay? I saw that, so I saw that on the Republican side, but then I saw like this kind of a not so great move on the Democratic side. People who don't wear masks are out there to kill people, demonizing people who weren't wearing masks. That was not a smart move. I mean, if you want people to follow the rules, the last thing you want to do is reprimand them, making them feel, I mean, like, it's one thing to say, hey, we need to wear masks. This is what we need to do. And it's another to say, you know, you're killing people, you're an a-hole, you know, that people their ears tend to shut when you say stuff like that. And we don't want to shut those ears. We want to keep those ears open. We could have done a better job, for sure. And I think at this point, a lot of people, I'm not the only one seeing this, you know, that's why I'm just bringing this here to talk about it. A lot of people are seeing this now. And we definitely had some bad choices on either side. Things could have been handled better. So I think we really need to take a look at those people in politics who are taking advantage of an opportunity to take pretty much a moral discussion and try to demonize the other side. You know, that's pretty below the belt, I think. I think we need to be careful when anyone starts doing that. We need to work together on the moral issues. And here's why. I was trying to figure this out. Like, where's a good place to go for a guide? Because I'm not a professional philosopher or psychologist, you know, behavioral specialist. That's not my specialty. But yet, as a citizen of the United States, as a human being, I need to understand this so I don't feed the problem, you know, so I can help bring everyone back to center. And so when I said, how do we figure out, you know, where those cancers are? How do we figure out right from wrong, moral good versus evil? We Kant. You like what I did there? So Kant, Foundations of the Metaphysics of Morals. This is a philosopher, 1700s, East Prussian. This particular text is the translation by Lewis White Beck. I was introduced to this gentleman in college, fortunately, for a philosophy psychology class, one of those ones you had to take as an elective, you know, to go on with the rest of your studies. Very valuable, though. There are other texts I read as well, but I went to him first. I happened to have him. I kept it from school. I kept it in my library. And he pretty much lays it out nicely. So there's a debate that he is trying to define this thing called the categorical imperative, which is basically he wants to define the maxims or the laws that agree most with a good will, so that law ought to apply to everyone, everywhere. And as he's trying to do that, you see this, he sort of lays out this parallel that existed in our politics in the United States, really and around the world. So you see sort of the, you know, you say Republican side, there was more of this looking to natural philosophy being discerning laws of nature based on experience. Well, what's the contrast to that? The contrast to that was the Democrats talked about more of a moral philosophy, discerning human will from how it is affected by nature, discerning how those results in nature affect the human will and the decision of, what do I do in the future? So you have the Republican side, laws by which everything happened, like this is just natural consequence, this is how we roll. The Democratic side, laws by which everything ought to happen, how everything should be. And you sort of see this clear definition of the Republican debate being based in reality, which is a good debate. There's good points there. Then you have the Democratic side. You have your thinking based on a dream, based on a future that you haven't seen. It's that hope, that dreamer. I really strongly believe that we need both of them. We need those people with their feet firmly on the ground, but then we need those people who are going to lift us up and higher and give us a better vantage point of the universe. So that's my little thinking there. But it's fascinating because you think about it that way, it doesn't sound as bad, right? I mean, kind of think through, rewind, replay. Like, it doesn't sound that bad. The two sides don't sound terrible. They both make good points, and they both sound valuable to one another. And that's actually what Kant gets at. You can't discern free will without cause and effect of nature. And you can't rely on cause and effect in nature alone. You need a free will. There's also a thing I missed out, was not only free will, you need a good will. And that's the tricky part. Everyone has a will. Everyone has free will. Man was given free will, you know? So how do we define goodwill? Well, for me, I'm a visual learner. I'm a visual thinker. I sort of, okay, go back to the video when I talked about biases. It's not really the visual thing that I'm looking for in a person. I take in visual, I love beauty and balance and harmony and even some erratic things that balance peace in a way. I love all that in life and nature and science. And in the person, you see all this stuff on the outside. You see behavior, you see appearance. But what I'm interested in is this sort of this center. You know, this one, just using this as an example. This has a little clarity. There's light clearly passing through. And it's almost like the idea of an uncut diamond, something that has been forced under pressure for millions and millions of years. It was once something not so gorgeous, but under pressure and perseverance, it continued to exist. And by persevering, it turned into something absolutely gorgeous. And the setting is this. The setting is you. The setting is everything that it is within. And the harder you work at the goodwill, that's a will that has really bought the ought. That's the best way I can explain it. Kant talks about what we ought to do. Not just the maxim or the law, not just do it because it's the law, but do it because we ought to do, but actually be sold. Like, no, this isn't just what I ought to do. This is what I should do. That's that categorical imperative concept sort of that he's going for. And so this is what should apply to everyone. That's not easy to tease out. That's why we need each other. That's why we need these different perspectives. And where I hope I am is like this, you know, not so clear, you know, but kind of pretty. You know, I'm working on it, trying to get there, you know, trying to get from here to here. This is much more clear. This can be cut into a pretty diamond. This isn't quite there, not as pretty, you know. But then there's the, didn't even try. Like, I'm not even going to try to do the right thing. I'm just going to do my thing. You know, just giving in to pressure. Pretty much, that's what that is. Not becoming something on its way to beauty, you know? So that's my focus, is seeking that goodwill in a person. Seeking that person that despite what they were given on this earth, what they look like, how much they can move, you know, because you have people who are born quadriplegic who can't move anything, and they still manage to make the most of things and be beautiful people. So you're given this when you get here, and what you make of it with the pressures of society and the pressures of nature, natural things, unfortunate things that just happen to people. That's life. You make the most of that. You take in that pressure and you persist and say, no, I'm going to be a good person. I'm going to be a positive influence on this world. The end result, in my humble opinion, is that beautiful diamond. And that's what I'm looking for. You know, and I think that a lot of you out there have it on all sides. I think you're all over the place. There's you in every group. There's also in every group too. These guys that just don't even try, you know. They just go with natural law and just say, you know what, I'm living, I'm doing my thing. You know, another thing that Kant brings up, and this is why, at first I was thinking he was dry, and he's really not that dry. He talks about the moderation in emotions to sort of show yourself to be a moral being and abide by laws and maxims. So the moderation of emotions and passions, you know, controlling yourself, they seem to constitute part of the inner worth of the person. So someone behaves properly, they maintain composure, they seem like their inner sides must be good, you know? But without principles of goodwill, they can become extremely bad. Just think about kids who figure out how to manipulate people to get what they want. They say, hey, if I act like a gentleman or a lady and I pretend to agree with what they want me to do, I can get what I want. Is that a good will, though? Are they doing things for the right reason? It's really hard to figure that out. But Kant says this by Lewis Whitebeck's translation that really reminded me of why I liked Kant. He says, the coolness of a villain makes him not only far more dangerous, but also more directly abominable in our eyes. So think about that. The coolness of a villain makes him not only far more dangerous, but also more directly abominable by our eyes. We must watch out for the cool villain out there. And at the same time, all try to walk the walk. It's difficult because how can you tell the good from the bad if we're all sort of doing the same thing? We need to dig a little deeper. We need to challenge each other in discourse. Have conversations with people that you don't agree with. Get in there. Find out if they've got one of these. If they've got one of these nice clear ones, even if they disagree with you, you need to hang with that person. You need to learn some more because we can really learn from each other. This shape is different for everyone. How it formed was different for everyone. It's still beautiful though. If the will is good, it's still beautiful. If we're all here still working to become more clear, I believe we'll get there. I believe in our lifetime or in future generations we'll get there. We're to where we are all beautiful, shining diamonds. And there will still be these. Not entirely bad if you think about it, in that we can learn from this. If you know where you start, you can really understand where you are. So this is still good to learn from. And my last point is the truly evil. We're talking about psychopaths and sociopaths. Those are the people that really just, they're evil. So we need to stop fighting amongst ourselves and start focusing on the goodwill with our laws, with our policies. And keep in mind that we really need to work together to get out the true evils, protect each other from the true evils that are out there so that we're not caught off guard. Let's not be caught off guard. Take care till next time.